Good morning and welcome, wicked smart listeners. Thanks for joining me this week. This is Chris Pre again with another episode. This guest is a really cool opportunity for me because I get to interview my coach since 2017, and that's always fun. I call this particular individual regularly. Zach and the team, as of this recording, literally just flew back from hanging out with him in a high-level mastermind group, and just a really special group of peeps. You're going to hear why. Brett Gilliland is the CEO of Elite Entrepreneurs. I sat in a private room with him in 17 when he took it over officially. It had been running for several years, but he literally took it over himself and just had opened his check-in account. And you're going to hear me bring that up, but really cool because he caters to business owners with over $1 million in revenue. Now, if you're sitting there going, well, that's not me, stay tuned because there are other things you can do to build into that. And he aids them, he aids us. We've been with him since 17, reaching that 10 million and beyond mark. Pretty interesting. And with a background in organizational development and leadership, he played a key role, like an instrumental role in Keap's growth. You guys may know them. Their old name was Infusionsoft. Company's called Keap. He was a key player in that when it went from 7 million to 100 million in revenue. Just picture being around as a fly in the wall, not even being pivotal in the equation, and the kind of experience that Brett's got because of it. His professional achievements also include co-creating Keap's Elite Forum, which is what this is all about, leading the elite business within Keap. And then he acquired it, as I said, at the end of 17, officially beginning of 18. Under his leadership, this very unique group of elite entrepreneurs has assisted so many businesses, numerous, 7-figure owners in overcoming challenges. And outside of work, get this, guys, because a lot of you have busy lives, right? And you go, I don't know if I have time. He spends time with his wife, Sharon, and guess how many kids? 8 and 1 grandbaby. He's busy. So stay tuned here because if you're busy, you can find time. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. And if he can with 8 kids and starting this new venture, I promise you can. All right, Brett, with that as a background, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I love being with you, Chris. This show's amazing and you're amazing. So we're going to have a great conversation.
Yeah, I love digging in, especially with the history we've had. So, Brett, because we have the past episodes, which I mentioned in just a second ago. Let's just dive right in. I always like to start with kind of the major transition from where I was when I met you. If you remember, I sat in a room alone with you and Stephanie, I think it was.
Yeah, Stephanie.
I was like, all right. I told this story recently at our boot camp. I was like, all right, I get that the goal here is to scale, but I'm just like, I've been a solopreneur my whole life and I never got past that kind of like banging my head on the million thing. And although you outlined it clearly for me and went through 2 days of workshop, I told this to the group. I said, my head was doubting it still. I was like, oh, yeah. But here we are and we did it. So I don't know, talk to that person, I guess, a little bit on how that transition even comes about, or mentally and practically.
Yeah, I'm glad that you talk about it mentally first, because it is a mental thing, right? Like business owners, especially if they've been solopreneurs for a while, or they just considered themselves like self-employed or in the hustle mode. They sort of get the dopamine hits from making stuff happen, right? That next deal, where they find the right property and they set up great terms and all that. And like the dopamine's firing. They're like, I'm doing the thing. I love it. And then to think about actually like building a team and scaling a business just feels a little far-fetched sometimes. And so I would say that scaling journey is actually not for everyone. It isn't. So if you see yourself doing the thing you're doing today as, a one-person wrecking machine, or, a person with a few virtual assistants, and that's just going to be it, then there's zero shame in that. That's great. But if you see something bigger, if you see the possibility of growing the impact that you're having on a broader group of people, and you know that it's possible, like the market would bear it and there's opportunity and you want that, there is a clear path to building a team and scaling a business, and we can help with that. So I think your vision was just big enough, Chris, that you started to convince yourself, well, maybe I will do that.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I wrote something down when you were saying that, because what if, I'm again picturing me, what if they are in the solopreneur mode like you just described, and maybe even they got a VA or two or an assistant or two, and they're making good money, but deep down they're like, yeah, but I don't want to do this for 5 or 10 years. Cause that's kind of where I was. I was like, all right, how many years am I going to do this for? Back in 17. So I'm not saying to sell them on the idea of scaling, but what I am saying is, can we give them like a little bit of a vision of what might change and how that might feel, just in case it does go, oh, all right, I think I could do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, because everybody's a little different in their dreams or their aspirations, and their, what they're comfortable with, this might be different for some, but let's talk about it. I don't know. Maybe we can talk about it from your perspective. You certainly can share your own perspective. Why did you decide to go from the mindset of, maybe it'll just be me and a few people to, no, actually, I do want to try to build something bigger. What was it for you?
Good turn of the tables. That I love this. I think it was just lifestyle. Yeah, lifestyle. Cause it was the dopamine hits. Yeah. When I was a realtor. Yeah. When I was a builder. Yeah. When I was doing terms, but then it's like, okay, but I'm going to spend place for my life, or what am I going to do here? That's all.
Okay. So you kind of saw where your life was headed in that machine. And you're like, I don't know that I want that. Well, couple that with another idea. The other idea being, if you want something that's transferable to another human being, you actually have to build an asset that doesn't rely on you running it, right? And I don't mean running it from a management standpoint. I mean running it like from an operator standpoint. If you're in the middle of making this machine go, if you're the main revenue or cash or profit generator, that's not very transferable to another human being or another entity or whatever. So if you want to build something that becomes an asset as part of your future retirement plans, or just to get some value out of what you've built, you have to be able to grow it to a point of not relying on you to make the getting and serving of clients go, right? Like that has to happen by another group of people. There's got to be process behind it. There's some structure. So, and again, it's everybody's personal preference, but if your life choices or your lifestyle are such that you don't want to be in the machine grinding day in and day out, you want to be building something where other people can help take it to the next level. You can still earn a nice living without being in it. And you can build a transferable asset that you could actually exit someday, sell, right? Make some money on the exit. That's those are some reasons sometimes that people think about doing it.
I love it. And I guess I'll bridge that gap a little bit. No pun intended with our saying we always say, but this is what you guys do best, right? Because this is what you've helped us do. And I said in the intro, Zach and team were just with you. So if you're like me going, okay, cool, but how? Well, that's what Elite Entrepreneurs does, right?
That's right. Yeah. So we help a 7-figure business owner. Typically, it's not somebody who's not got something going. In other words, if you're still trying to figure out product market fit or how to do sales and marketing and get and serve enough clients to grow, we're not the right place for you, because you got to figure out some other things. There's like an order of operations thing going on. And we can get into this when you want, Chris, but there's a stages of business view of the world that helps us understand at each stage of business, what's the key hurdle or the key success thing that we got to figure out at each stage to be able to grow. So anyway, the business building work that you're talking about it's knowable, it's doable. Anybody can do it. And I don't mean to say that you're anybody, Chris, but Chris did it right. These people know you, right? Hey, I know Chris, and he did it. I can do it. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of things come to mind there. When I first saw you guys, it was because it was that simple. I looked at a PDF of the stages. So it's funny you brought that up. Can you tell them where to get that? I know we can get that to them for free, can't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and just as we're preparing for this, I jumped over to our website and I saw that for some reason, apparently somebody on my team decided that didn't need to be right on our website. And so I'm like, wait a minute, that's got to be fixed. So I have some work to do to go fix that. But our website is growwithelite.com, growwithelite.com. So our company is called Elite Entrepreneurs, but that's a horrible website, Elite Entrepreneurs. I said there might be one out there. So I'm not bagging on somebody else's website, but don't put entrepreneurs in the URL of anything. It's hard to spell. It's long. So we just put growwithelite.com. But if you go there, the stages of small business, the stages of small business growth, should be referenceable and accessible on our website. Just in case it isn't there for some reason, just email me. My email, I'll give it out. My email is Brett, BRETT, at growwithelite.com, and just say, I want that stages document, and I'll send it over to you.
Super, super generous. I appreciate it. So you brought up the million to the, let's start transitioning here, the 7 to 8 figures. So when I met you, we were ending that year just under $1 million, just like 20 grand under $1 million. So that was good.
You're at $1 million. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm saying that because I know even if you're a solopreneur, there's a ton of you listening. I know, because I know a bunch of you that are at that stage. You just know that I was there. And it's magical what Elite has done over the years and still doing with us. We tell you guys to do coaching, and that's all we do is still do coaching, right? So we practice what we preach. Talk about this is like cliche, but also super, super, super true. And that is what got you here won't get you there type thing. You know, what are some skill sets, transitions that they need to be aware of, Brett?
Yeah. Let me build out that stages document a little bit in their minds to answer that question. So there's a pattern that Chris kind of alluded to already on the 1s and 3s of revenue. So that stages document outlines what's the stage look like up until, the solopreneur, from either the side hustle or when you initially jump in full time to that thing and saying that now I have a business, but it's really just you. That's the stage up to 100,000. Then from 100,000 to 300,000, there's a stage where you start to, maybe you add a couple assistants or a VA or something, or maybe you add a partner, and now there's 2 or 3 of you who are doing this thing. And the key thing at that stage is to figure out how am I going to get enough leads? Sorry, how am I going to get enough sales? Before 100,000, it's leads. From 100,000 to 300,000, it's like, okay, we have some interest, but we don't know how to consistently sell this thing. So you got to figure out sales. From 300,000 to $1 million, it's about predictable lead gen and scaling the fulfillment. Like how do we fulfill to a growing number of clients or customers? And then from 1 to 3 million and 3 to 10 million, there's some business building work that doesn't have to do with getting and serving clients. It has to do with leadership, meeting rhythms, organization development, structure, process, hiring, right? All that kind of stuff. Even though you've done some hiring to get to there, but you haven't really mastered the art of hiring to a vision. So you got to get clear on a vision, learn how to hire to that, learn the meeting rhythms for planning and execution, both the long term for the business as well as delivering today's results, right? So there's all this more complex. The team is growing, the systems processes are getting a little more, more mature, and you got to level up in your leadership and in your organization to match the need of that stage.
Really cool. Cause it's cool because I'm following it, time wise. I'm like on the timeline in my brain as you're going through it. I saw something that was in some of your notes, Brett, that said, how do you stop spending like 5 to 9 to fix what your team did 9 to 5? And again, that resonated. So can you explain that a little bit? And then how can they, I think what I caught from the notes was just how can they avoid that or fix that going forward? Am I right?
Yeah. So, business ownership comes with a lot of weight. And I don't mean the unhealthy kind where we eat too much, although that can be a thing too. But I mean, the weight of the business is just on your shoulders all the time. And because in the beginning, you and the business, you as the owner operator, as the founder, were so inextricably linked with getting and serving clients that as it grows, you have a harder and harder time like letting go of the things that have to happen. You know exactly what has to happen to get that client. You know exactly what has to happen to provide that great client experience. And then you start to build a team to help you do more stuff, but your focus is on the wrong place. You're still thinking about how can I do more things? And so you surround yourself with people to help you do more things. Instead, what you should be doing is organizing work in a way that you can give clear ownership of a piece of that weight to somebody else to carry. And when you have a powerful vision, especially if you co-create that vision with your team, they can see what we're trying to build together, what we are trying to build together. It's no more about just you as the owner operator. It's like, no, this is what we are doing. And they see clearly how their piece of the whole contributes, right? So they own a specific role, and you know exactly what's expected in that role and how it's measured and how it aligns to company goals. So I'm getting a little out of control in my explanation here, but there's lots of clarity, there's lots of organization, there's lots of intentionality. But it only works because we're getting the business owner operator out of the machine, and we're starting to elevate his or her position in the company to be working on the business more, building the team rather than making sure that, making it rain, as it were, with the revenue.
Okay, who wants to be the next apprentice? Pretty interesting, guys. We started this apprentice program back as a July 4th, 2024 promo. That's where it started. And it was so incredibly effective. We were just going to run it for the summer. It was so effective immediately. We kept it. It's in place now. And what is it? It allows you to get into the community, the Wicked Smart community, for less dollars than the QLS home study course sells for right now on our site. In fact, when you go to smartrealestatecoach.com/apprentice-pod, apprentice-pod, when you go there, you're going to see that as an apprentice, you're going to get over $13,000 worth of coaching, the possibility for you to touch base with us if you want to 4 or 5 times a week, and it doesn't exist anywhere out there, frankly. That's why we did it. We did it for 2 reasons. One, no one is giving you the support out there. We keep hearing feedback, which is how this was born, that other educators are not giving support. They're just selling stuff. So it doesn't exist anywhere, and nowhere in the real estate education or coaching space. And we want to help you do one thing: deals. So we've wrapped the support mechanism around this. We've allowed you to get into a Slack community with the other associates who previously were protected in Slack, and now you get to jump in there and experience that for 12 weeks. You also get to come to the In the Trenches bootcamp, which is private. It's a chance to hang out with the family team and one of the coaches for 2.25 days in our conference room, roll up our sleeves, get calls done, get deals done. If you come with leads, you leave with deals. Absolutely incredible. I could go on and on. Go to the website right now. Check out more information about the apprentice, and I'm going to give you the In the Trenches bootcamp site, because you don't have to become an apprentice. It just happens to be free with apprentice and associate. So 2 links I'm going to give you, super important. smartrealestatecoach.com/ITTB-pod. That's going to give you some information about the bootcamp. If you want to buy a ticket to the bootcamp, it's more expensive, but you can. Just to come check us out. About 1 or 2 people every time we run it do just that. Or become an apprentice, and it's for free. smartrealestatecoach.com/apprentice-pod. So again, I'm thinking chronologically in some things we went through, as you know, last year, challenges as we grew. And I'm thinking, okay, so are there some things or some processes, and if they are, what are they, that we could put in place cost-wise? Now I'm going to go to costs and run the business. Because as we went through some of the changes last year, but I'm like, oh, well, how come nobody's watching that? Or how come this got out of hand? So cost-wise, what can we do differently as we grow so that we don't have to worry about that? Like, it doesn't get out of hand. Am I making sense?
Yeah. And so I would say there's some key numbers to be watching as you grow a team. Sometimes we grow the team out and it outpaces the cost structure, outpaces the revenue growth. We're like, I know I need this role, I know I need that role, and the revenue's coming in, but we're missing a key ratio. And I would suggest, I'll throw it out there and people can try it on, but I would suggest that the revenue per employee number. And you got to compare apples to apples, because Chris, you and I have talked before where you guys would sell some things and collect up front, but then the delivery for that service would be carried out over time, which is reasonable. But if you do the revenue per employee ratio as a snapshot at the moment that you collected the cash, the number probably looks really good.
Yeah.
But if you did that same snapshot at the tail end of delivering or fulfilling on that commitment, it might not look as good, right? You might find yourself upside down on that. So revenue per employee is a key ratio to keep us in line. It's like we can't outgrow our revenue growth. We can't outspend our revenue growth in terms of the team structure. So let's get clear about the range of revenue per employee that's healthy for our business model. And I can't give even a rule of thumb because it's a little different in each business. But you know the times when your business is more healthy, when it's profitable, and what the cost structure is that supports that level of revenue. And you just can't outspend as you're growing, or you get into a bind later.
And how can we now go even more micro in that whole equation? So, and then how can we get team members either thinking or making decisions differently to, once they're in play, we get the team in play, we did the right thing to control costs?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to use a real-time example. Just the other day, I reached out to a friend of mine that's in the landscape business. Okay. They might do some design and install of landscaping, but probably a good chunk of their business is the maintenance piece. So we're talking about crews that are going out and mowing and trimming and blowing the leaves and making the yard look good, right? So not a complicated business, but what he did that I think is genius is he understands what the labor expense is as a percent of the revenue for the job, right? So he sells a job at let's say it's $1,000 for the year or something. He knows that he can spend up to $300 of that on labor. So he knows exactly what his numbers need to be to have a profit. And he goes to his team and he says, "Hey, I'm willing to spend up to 30% of our jobs on labor expense. Now, you guys can do the work at a walking pace, or sort of casually, and I can pay you hourly, or I can pay you 30% of the job's value, and you guys can crank out 2 or 3 times the amount of work in a given day or a week, and you can make as much as you want." And so he just armed them with some power. He armed them with some knowledge around how the mechanics of the financials work for their business, and they don't have to know the ins and out of everything, but they just have to know 30%. I could spend 30% of the cost, or the price on labor, and that was enough for them to go, okay, sign us up for 2 jobs a day instead of 1. I'm exaggerating here, right? Or maybe I'm simplifying, but sign us up for twice the number of jobs, and we'll crank those out. And then every week he gets to post on social media how much his lawnmowers are making. And so look how much money these guys are making because they're owning the result. So he armed them with some financial knowledge, said, "This is how the math works. Help me make good decisions around that." Or you guys decide how you want to work that. And now they're cranking out double the work, right? So as a principle, the point there was help your people know the main financial levers. And if you can give them budgets, great. Like, look, here's how much money we have to spend in that department over this period of time. You guys spend it however you think is best. But that's the total. When that's gone, it's gone for that period. So if it's a monthly budget or quarterly or whatever, give them as much control as you're able to. And then, the people tend to make pretty good decisions when they're armed with some knowledge.
So that screams loudly that the business owners and management has to know their numbers. And I say that facetiously, but you and I both know there's a whole bunch of people that don't know their numbers. Amazing to me, but they don't.
Yeah. And I remember at a particularly low point in my business where the pressure of the inability for me to see clearly my own numbers had me managing by the account balance. I'm sure you've been there, right? Where every day I'd wake up, I'd go to my phone, and what's the balance today? Right? Like that was the only number that I could look at and say, are we alive? Are we, are we hurting? What's going on? And that's no way to run a business. That's totally reactionary, no creation. Anyway, I've been there.
Yeah, me too. Not more than once, unfortunately. So I totally get what you're saying. Everything you said today goes through my brain in the chronological order, or goes backwards or forward. Brett, is there still? I'm going to ask you for some last minute thoughts in a second as we wrap. But is there still a program for people in that sub 1 million that you run that can get them up to the next level, like we used to do with some of our people? I forgot to ask you that.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have a program that if they can see millions in their near future, right? Like you were already at $1 million when you came, but let's say they did, I don't know, 500,000 last year, and they're doing 850, 900,000 this year, and they know they're about to break into that old mark. So that's one thing, and we take a couple of those once in a while. But I would say that the best thing that you could do if you like our stuff, if you know the business building work is coming and you'd like to be doing some of that now, we do have quarterly events. You mentioned that Zach and some of your team was out at our most recent event, but every single quarter we have events that are designed specifically for this business building thing that everybody's up to. And anybody can buy a ticket and attend those events. They'll get great content. They'll get connected with great entrepreneurs. If they're not at 1 million yet, all of the other people in the room will be ahead of where they're at, which is kind of a cool place to be. But yeah, I'd really encourage people to double down on figuring out how can I consistently get and serve clients. And that's the main scaling thing from 300,000 to 1 million. It's like, how do I predictably get and serve more and more clients? That will create the organizational growing pains, the leadership changes that you must make if you want to grow past that million, that 1 to 3 million range. That's where you got to figure out how to extract yourself from the day-to-day, start building a team, build the organization processes, all of that. So it's just a matter of order. We crawl first. And in fact, I'm a new grandpa. You and I are in this club together, Chris.
Do that.
Yeah. So it's not even crawling. At first, that baby's like kind of scooting around, right? They're doing the army drag around crawl thing. Then they get on their hands and knees. Then they start to like try to pull themselves up and toddle around. And eventually they're running. But we don't learn how to run first. We start where we are. So that's why we don't have people jumping to where we're at if they're not quite at 1 million. Typically, we're like, go learn to crawl, get your business on its feet, and then come run with us.
And I encourage you guys to go to the events. We've been going since that one event I was at in 17, like literally almost every cycle you have it. So yeah, I encourage you guys to go to the website. Brett, we'll have all that in the show notes. Is there anything, you and I talk a lot, so I make assumptions on what we talked about. Is there anything I didn't ask you if you'd like to share with the Wicked Smart listeners here before we wrap?
I think the one thing I want to share is just inject a little bit of belief. And you guys have a great community. The Wicked Smart community is amazing. Chris and Zach and team, they're all awesome people. But you are amazing. You can do the thing that you're doing. It's totally possible. It's not for an elect few that only these few people can do this. Like, you guys can all do it, and it's just a matter of clarity. It's a matter of vision or dreaming. Like, what do you want to create? Get clear on that, and then learn what it takes to get there. And you're doing it. You're doing the stuff. And I know it's hard. The reason I say this is I know it's hard. It's hard for all of us, but it's totally doable. And you're on the right path. Just keep at it.
Love it. Brett, it's always refreshing because I treat this as a coaching session with you, which I always enjoy. So this was fun for me. I know we imparted some nuggets while we did that chat, and I appreciate you being on as always. I know you got juggling a couple of things with the couple kids you got running around and one grandkid now. So that's awesome, buddy. Thanks for being on again. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, super fun. Always enjoy being with the Wicked Smart community. It's a great place to be. Thanks, Chris.
Make it a great week. Okay, Wicked Smart listeners, that does wrap up our time together today with my buddy, my friend, my coach, Brett Gilliland. If you enjoyed the show at any level, could you do me a huge favor, guys? As always, just take a few seconds, rate it, review it, share it with your friends, because this is for any solopreneur, entrepreneur, CEO out there, anywhere, or wannabe CEO, entrepreneur, solopreneur. When you do that, do me a huge favor again. Send me a private email, chris@smartrealestatecoach.com, and let me know your biggest takeaway here. And also, if you'd like to get on a call with me to talk about this, to talk about maybe how to integrate your businesses or your life with what we do here at smartrealestatecoach.com, go to my private link. Yes, it'll be me getting on a call with you. I want to just have a chat with you. I want to help you rip apart stuff you got going on this coming year and help you reach your goals. There's so many people following us that go, well, I can't this year because, or I can't this quarter because, or I wait till this happens. Let me help you do it now. Let me help you break into a 3 payday system that could bring you potentially, I don't know you yet, $45,000 to $350,000 per deal, all 3 paydays that we trademarked. Just go to smartrealestatecoach.com/Chris Prefontaine. call, CHRISPRE, call. Now, if you have not experienced, here we are at the end of the year. If you have not experienced our In the Trenches Bootcamp yet, let me tell you what happens. In around July of 24, we started In the Trenches Bootcamp here in our office. As of now, because we kind of burst at the seams, our conference room holds comfortably 12 or 13. We've been as high as 21. That gets a little snuggly. But in that In the Trenches Bootcamp, what we do is we start off with calling leads, like in front of you. And then that leads to inevitably making appointments, which leads to inevitably emailing that seller a deal structure that we do right in front of you on the whiteboard, which then ultimately leads to 3 paydays, which we deal structure on the whiteboard. You see the entire process unfolding literally right in front of you. You got to check out what people are saying about it, guys. Go to smartrealestatecoach.com/ITT bootcamp. smartrealestatecoach.com/ITT bootcamp. I promise you, there are no companies, 0 companies doing that at that level, providing that kind of service, because you can go for free. Again, go to smartrealestatecoach.com/ITT bootcamp. Nobody's doing it, guys. A lot of people want to sell you stuff in this day and age when creative financing and real estate on your terms, as I call it, is in high demand. They want to sell you stuff, and they can do that because they maybe can market good. I can tell you what we do good. We do very well. We do deals. We want to help you do deals. So let's get you into a boot camp. Let's get you to experience that. And if nothing else, you'll know what the heck we're doing and where you fit into that or not. smartrealestatecoach.com/ITT bootcamp. Make it a great week.
Hey guys, are you simply sick of juggling a dozen different software tools for your real estate business? I know I was, and I know I'm not a tech person, so it was frustrating. A subscription for this, you get a subscription for that, and they don't even work together out of the box. That's very frustrating, especially in the real estate world where your best time spent is going to be out in the field or on the phone with sellers. And now you're stuck hiring a tech guru just to make all that sync up. So let's ditch the chaos and let REI Black Book handle everything. Automate your lead follow-up, track every deal, analyze things quickly for you, make offers all in one platform. In fact, with the Wicked Smart platform, we now have access, if you're in the Wicked Smart community, to all the other associates' properties. Can you imagine that? So you're brand new in the business perhaps, and your seller looks on your website and sees 20, 30, 40 properties, instant credibility. So you're going to get everything on REI Black Book, from our custom workflows for lead generation all the way to closing. It has it covered. Try it today for just $1, guys. Visit smartrealestatecoach.com/REIBB-DD. smartrealestatecoach.com/REI, B as in boy, B as in boy, hyphen, D as in dog, D as in dog.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Real Estate Coach podcast. If you're ready to invest in yourself and take your investing to the next level, check out our 90-day Jumpstart program by going to smartrealestatecoach.com/jump. That's smartrealestatecoach.com/jump, because now is the time to act boldly in this unprecedented market shift.